The original Christians vanished from history. And here's the thing, we don't really know much at all about what they actually believed in. My name's Cameron Riley. I'm the co-host of the Life of Caesar podcast, and on a recent episode we were talking about the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 CE during the First Jewish-Roman War. And this topic, which I've talked about before, was in my film Marketing the Messiah, but I never get tired of talking about it or thinking about it because it's fascinating. So 70 CE, Vespasian's elder son Titus finally finishes destroying Jerusalem. And in that city was a very small Christian community. They probably didn't even think of themselves as Christians at the time. They were just Jews that had a particular fringe idea about who or what the Messiah was. And according to tradition, these were the original followers, the original disciples, Peter and James, the people that actually knew Jesus. And then they're gone from history. We really have no idea what happened to them. Of course, there are traditions in Christianity about they went here or they went there or they got executed this way or that way, but there's no evidence for any of that. And here's the thing, we don't even know what they believe because they didn't write anything down and nobody who knew them wrote anything down. Yeah, there are epistles in the New Testament of Peter and James, but most biblical scholars today don't believe they're authentic. They're pseudographical. They were written by other people, and probably the people who wrote them didn't know Peter or James at all. The only real evidence that Peter and James existed at all is from Paul's epistles. And he doesn't tell us much about what they believed either, only when they're in opposition to him. And here's the thing that a lot of Christians still don't know is that Peter and James and Paul didn't get along. Paul, who never knew Jesus, never met Jesus, had a version of Christianity that Peter and James objected to vehemently. And here's one of the great ironies is the last thing that we hear from Paul. He says, hey, I've collected all of this money from the groups that I've set up around the empire, and I'm going to take it to Jerusalem as an offering to the leaders of the movement, and I hope they will accept it and basically allow me to keep doing what I'm doing and not cause me any further problems. He goes to Jerusalem and he gets arrested and executed. Is it a bribe? Is it not a bribe? Kind of sounds like a bribe. Then there's the book, The Acts of the Apostles, which was written decades later. It tries to tell a story, but most scholars think the person who wrote it didn't know Paul. They think that because the version of Paul's life that gets told in Acts of the Apostles contradicts what Paul says about his own life. So either the person who was writing it just made stuff up or got the story wrong or misremembered the story. Most likely didn't know Paul at all, was just writing a story for Christian consumption, probably in the 80s or 90s CE. So the people who actually knew Jesus, we don't really know what they thought Jesus was or who they thought Jesus was. We don't really know what Jesus said or did. And it's one of the great mysteries of Christianity, that the people that actually knew Jesus didn't write anything down. Jesus himself didn't write anything down, didn't have a scribe write anything down. It's just this big silence. All that we have from that era is from Paul, who didn't know Jesus and contradicted the ideas of the people that did know him. And then after the war in Jerusalem, they all just disappear. And the 2.4 billion Christians around the world today, of course, who usually don't agree with each other on much, is based on the writings and ideas of people who didn't know Jesus.